Good morning. Welcome everyone to our Sunday public meeting. I'm allowed to introduce myself. I'm Juliana. I've been part of this Spiritist group since 2011 when I moved to Dublin. And before the lockdown was mainly working with the kids' gospel. So today we're going to be talking about a little part of the chapter 12, Moral Perfection, Know Thyself. I'll be focusing mainly on the question 919 to talk a little bit more about the ways and how we can get to know ourselves for our moral improvement, for our spiritual improvement. So if you're with me, let's gonna do our initial prayer. So I would ask you to sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Deep breath. Connect with the higher, with your guardian angel. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. I'd like to thank as well our mentors, the mentors of our group. May the speech be always a word of our mentors, and so be it. You can open your eyes. Now, so today we're going to talk about the chapter 12, Moral Perfection, but I'm going to be focusing on the question 919. My last speech 4 weeks ago was the whole chapter about selfishness and knowing yourself, self-knowledge, self-awareness. And this I'm just going to go a little bit more deep on the studies to talk about this, the knowing ourselves. So the question 919 is of the Spiritist book is, what is the most effective method of guaranteeing self-improvement and resisting the attraction of wrongdoing? And the answer is really simple. A philosopher of antiquities once said, know thyself. So that's the title. And we have seen, I'm just going to recap from the last time. So we have seen, I've talked about selfishness. And one of the things that the spirits talk about is selfishness. It's the root of every wrongdoing on earth. And the way to tackle this is through charity and through, knowing yourself. So you can make yourself develop morally, develop spiritually. I like more develop spiritually, because that's what, when they talk about morals, it's kind of, oh my God, something society taboo thing. So it's our spiritual development, and nothing better than develop our spirituality is been doing knowing ourselves. So one example I give, like when you go to a job interview, that one question that's probably gonna get is, they ask, what's your strength and weakness? And why a job interview gonna ask them? They don't want to know what's your CV when you go to the interview. What they want to know is your personality. So that's why they want to know you better. So that's why they ask more situational questions. Of course, when you answer according to the job you're going and those things. But this is in real life, for the for the job interview, or for the ones interviewed, they want to know that they're getting the right person, So that's why they want to know you. And a way to know you, it's also knowing your strengths and weakness, because when you know your strengths, you nurture them, you make them, you practice them. When you know your weakness, you know how to avoid them, you work on them, to get better. So, and not only this, that's one of minimal importance to knowing ourselves, There is another thing as well. It's going on the planet, that it's planetary transition. We know we have been on a world of trial and expiations. Sorry, my English is not very good. So this world that we have been always since the beginning for our life on Earth, it's a world that's where evil prevails. So there's more evil than goodness. Oh, well, this is changing now. And the planetary transition, it's here to tell us we are changing. We're going to change. We're going to keep for a while on this planetary transition to get to a world that is less evil and more good. So from now, so planetary transition is actually saying to you, now there's no time to be really, really, really bad. I'm not saying that it's not bad happening. It is, it's always have been, What I'm saying is now it's time for you to work on yourself, to work your spiritual, to develop yourself so you can carry on with life here, So it's a time for internal development, But he says well, we have been seeing so many bad things, so many, things that happen on Earth and everything. Well, let me tell you, the news always gonna give bad news, and it's been always like this. We always have bad things on Earth. That's what lots of people. Why God allow us to be allowed to be so bad? Well, anyway, that's another question for a whole other discussion. But what is happening now in the planetary transition is we're seeing this more. It's being broadcasted live around the world. So this is what's happening. It's that we're not seeing, we are able to see exactly how our society is, how we're doing. So it seems to be doomed. It's the end of the world. It's not. It's just a planetary transition. It's where we're going to be more aware of the things that are not right. I want to point out there is this Sai Baba. He's a guru, Indian guru. I think he's Indian guru, and he gave, once I was watching some of the videos, and he gave a very good example, and this explained very easy planetary transition. We are in a moment of more enlightenment, but how more enlightenment? How are we going to? No, we are bare. No, we're not bare. We are seeing. We are more aware of the things around us. So he said, put in this way: you have a garage with lots of things there that you usually don't go there, and then you don't clean or anything, and you have 30 kilowatts of a lamp in this garage that's 30 kilowatts. That's the lamp you have to see the things around. So when you need something, you go in the garage, switch off, you go get your things and come back, switch off. And well, one day you're gonna change because the lamp went off, but you have 100 kilowatts. So from 30 kilowatts to 100 kilowatts you put there. What you're gonna see? You're gonna see more dirt, more things that are not in their place. You're gonna see things that were hidden that we were not aware. You were not aware in the garage. You might find things that you never have seen. You remember you thought you lost a long time ago. It was just in a corner. So that's what we are now. And what this has to do with knowing themselves is actually, it's allowing us to be more aware of everything, that happens on Earth. And this allows us to be more aware of ourselves, or going internally. Moving on I want to highlight this passage of the Bible. It's Matthew 9, 16, 17. And I'm going to read the passage. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wine skins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out and the wine skin will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wine skins and both are preserved. So, of course, this is an example from that time where the life there was. So Jesus at that time was saying things that were concrete for them. So that was an example. So what can we take from this, and what this has to do with knowing ourselves? Now, the gospel, to be fully understood and experienced, requires a break of the old behavior patterns assimilated over the reincarnatory experience. We know when we reincarnate, we just forget. We just don't have memories of past life, but the sensations, the passions are still there. Things that we have done that affected our pure spirit, will be with us. So we bring all this baggage, all this luggage with us. We just don't remember what happened, but we bring this. And it is designed to be like this, because it would be much easier. We would not learn from ourselves if we just deal with the memories. Memories is much easier, much quicker. We have to deal with our passions to learn and to develop morally, spiritually. So the old behavior patterns that we have assimilated over many reincarnatory experiences, that's we bring with us. And here is in this passage of the Bible is actually represented by old garment symbols or old wine skins. You don't put new on the top of old. No. Who wants and what if you want to implement changes of behavior, prioritizing our spiritual improvement, so development, we should be aware that the precise transformation occurs when new foundations are built. So educate ourselves, reform ourselves. And education here is not just it's not going to school. So knowing yourself for your own improvement is education. In the question 917 of the Spirit's book, there is a passage that very, 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 very interesting. It says, proper education is the key to moral progress. Moral progress, we see like spiritual development, improvement or development. When the art of training the moral nature of human being is as easily understood as the art of training the intellect, which is our knowledge, a corrupt nature, which is a human being, can be straightened out just like a crooked sapling. However, this practice demands a great deal of tact, experience, and profound observation. There are three things here: great deal of tact, experience, and profound observation. So we have been experienced all through our reincarnation days. We have been trying to educate ourselves. It's not just going to be something as easy as going to school. No one likes going to school, but it's easy when you talk about what you need to learn from everything from the life for your life. School is training the intellect, and it's really important in our lives. Like parents cannot not take children to school, cannot educate, to children. They go in jail if they say the children they're not going to go to school. So it is something very important. So that's why if we understand our training the intellect, knowing our intellect, this art as good as we have to train ourselves, to educate ourselves, our moral inclinations, our behaviors or anything, then we are able to actually reduce a corrupt nature. And here, corrupt nature, I'm not talking about like something very, very, very bad. Sometimes it's small things, it is bound to human nature, So we can straighten this out. And this is the way to straighten this out is knowing ourselves. I want you to get this one as well. There is the four pillars of education from UNESCO. It's very interesting. They actually developed this for, everything you do. It's not just for schools, for everything you do. You have 4 pillars of education, which is, I'm gonna highlight here, which is a very good example of things that we can do in our lives. So first, learning to know. And here we means like learning to learn, by combining a sufficiently broad general knowledge with the opportunity to work in deep with a small number of subjects. This also means learning to learn. So as to benefit the opportunities, education through life. So it's through life. Learn to learn through life. It's going to be a process. We're gonna be always learning to learn. So it's something we learn, we bring to in our whole life. It's not only in school, it's for us as well. Now, learning to do. So learning to know is learning to learn, and it's more like theoretic. You can read, you can talk to people, you can see YouTube tutorials about any subject you want to improve. Then learning to do. So you got the theory, you learn the theory, now you're going to put in practice. So everything we do learning through education is like this. So we can do for our moral inclinations as well, for our spiritual development. So learning to do. Then we can learn to live together because we're not alone. We are individuals, unique. Each one's unique individual. But this individual, it's in a community, in a society, in a place with many others that we have to interact. Even the person that doesn't like much, one time will have to go and interact. So we have to learn to live together in spirit of respect for the values of pluralism. So we're not just us, we are all. And then mutual understanding and peace. Lovely. That's how we want. How we would like to. It's not as easy, because if it were easy, the world would be a different place. So it's something really difficult, and it's something that it's a process through this incarnation, the next incarnations you're gonna get, and the previous you have brought all your baggage. So and the 4th pillar is learning to be, so as better to develop your personality. And here comes like closing for knowing yourself. It's you learn first the practice. So for example, in spiritism, you read the books, you come to meetings like this, you do mediumship, so this is all you're learning to know. Then you practice. We know in spiritism is there is no, without charity there is no salvation. So we practice, and one of the biggest thing for us is to do charity. And it's a very broad. It's not just working at charity or volunteering 1 hour or 2 hours of your time to help a charity. It's to help in every way, the neighbor. That's in a very broad way. Anything that we can do to help. So without charity, there's no salvation. That's one of the things we got. So we practice. When we practice, we learn to live together, because we practice, for example, charity to help the other. We put in others' shoes and see how their lives is different than us. It makes us aware that we are not just us in the world. We are unique, but we live together. We live and then this helps us develop our personality, improve morally. So that's why I put those, the 4 pillars of the education, because they're very good for anything you're gonna do, you want to learn, even if it's learning to cook something, or learn a new skills, or learning about yourself, learning your weakness and strengths. We learn about this. We learn to know. We learn to do what we practice. We practice this with the other, the good things, or tackling our evil inclinations, and then we learn to be with in peace with everyone. Moving on, is still knowing yourself. So what can we bring? What can we get this? Self-improvement. We have to know that it's a continuous process of self-knowledge, modeling us progressively in the spiritual experience in every way of our existence. So it's not going to be just like we go to school. One day you're going to finish school and you're going to go to work or to do something else. No, it's not. It's going to be for a whole life. But this doesn't need to put us off. It's something we're going to do it anyway. You can kind of accelerate this process by knowing more about yourself, aiming for improvement. But this is something, it's a nature law we always going to develop. And one thing that is certain in the life that we are going to develop. And this is easy because in the past, you are a better person than you were in the past. And I'm talking about reincarnations, because when we got to that point that we done everything, we learn about everything, though the thousands, millions of reincarnations we have to pass through. And I'm not giving a number because I have no idea, but it's just to know that, the process when we get near to the time, like things on the universe takes long, much longer time. So it's not going to be in one life or 100 incarnations that we're going to learn everything we have to learn. That's just my own way to see this. So now I went a little bit more. Going back, continuous process of self-knowledge, modeling us progressively in spiritual experience. So it's a process that we always going to carry on. Don't put yourself off. Oh, I'm never gonna be. No, it's not. We will. Everyone's gonna get there. It's just gonna take time, because nothing in nature, nothing in God's nature, it's as quick as we want to be. In its time, we need to train our passions. That's the reason we forget the memories, what we did in the past, but we bring the passions, because what we have to work is not the memory, it's the passions. And the best way to work your passions, the good and the wicked, the evil, I don't like that, evil as well. So the good and the wicked passions, you have to work them. You have to nurture the good ones, and you have to model, to learn how to deal with the wicked ones. And everyone says, and I'm talking about small things. So wrapping up, it's a continuous process for our lives and other reincarnation. We have been always learning, and if we're got to that stage that we didn't learn, we don't need to learn. We didn't need to learn, then we would not need to reincarnate. So the fact that you are here today in this incarnation, you need to work. We all need to work on ourselves, on our spiritual development. And we can take as long as it needed. There is no deadline for anyone. The only thing is constant, that we always improving. We always get, sometimes very small steps, and that's okay. That's going to, don't put yourself off because it's going to be your whole life. It is a good sign, because it's designed to be like this. That's God's wish. That's the universe, cosmic, conspiring for this. So now. No, it's also the transformation of old self. our old self loaded with secular trends and errors, and transforming this old self in a new self, active in the implementation from the teachings of the divine, inside and outside. So when the teachings, the divine, and we talk here divine, for us it's God, but God is everywhere. So, and it doesn't need to be one religion or one therapy, one knowledge. It can be any, because God is everywhere. Everything that's good, there is God in it. There is, and the laws of nature, which is God's laws, is immutable. It will always be this way, because that's way that makes us to develop, to grow ourselves. So it's a continuous process, it's a transformation of the old self, and it's a means of giving a new direction to the values that we already have, and correct weakness whose roots were ignored or not motivated to change. So we can sometimes leave those, I don't want to work this, now I'm okay and everything, but at some point this will come up. You have to work, because that's our moral, our spiritual development. Working. We have the old, and then we're going to work on our new self. Transforming and giving directions so we can do better. We can be better spiritually. It's acquisition of self-awareness, to learn to be, to exist, to be realized as divine creature we are. So that's the most important. So self-improvement is a continuous process. It's a transformation of old self, giving a new direction, is the acquisition of self-awareness. When you know that's a process, when you work to transform your old self, you give you new directions, and you're more aware of yourself. That's key, and it's still the same 4 pillars of the education, So how to? This is really easy to say, and I'm saying this is the most difficult thing to do, when we get to know, go inside ourselves. We have to be really honest with ourselves. It's not something easy. So how can we do that? The first step is will. You have the willingness that you want to change yourself for better, to improve spirituality. That's the first step. If you want to, that's great. That's the first step. Then what's the next step? Full attention, observation, and identification what is happening inside us. So we have to look inside us. It knows our strengths and weakness. When we know about this, when we are aware about this, we have the willingness, we start to observe, we start to think about, there's some things that I do usually, but I shouldn't be doing, or there's a way I think usually, and I shouldn't be, because this is not exactly right. Be aware. We know what is right or not. It's like God inside us is the part of God that is inside us. We have this sense. We sometimes forget, we sometimes are not fully aware, but as much as you look at yourself using any methodology, therapy, meditation, praying, reading about it, anything that will help you to get full attention, awareness of yourself, what we are, and this, once we do this, the transformation will happen, because you're gonna start to take action. You're aware of things you do. Oh, I do this that I shouldn't be doing. So next time you're gonna get you that, trigger of doing that thing that you, with reasoning with yourself, it's not something you're gonna say, oh, wait, it's better to avoid, or better doing this way, or things that you do that's very good. Oh, I do this, it is a good thing. It helps improve, it help others. So that you're gonna do more. So action, practice, attitude. That's three things from transformation that you actually get it once you have the willingness and the full attention and the awareness. So there is a way in question 9, I forgot, but St. Augustine in question 918, I think, because Allan Kardec asks the spirits, how can we do this? How can we get better? How can we? So they said, do like St. Augustine did. St. Augustine, he was, I'm not going to go to the what was St. Augustine, but he helped a lot of the material we have in the spiritual book. So you're going to hear about St. Augustine a lot, because it was him speaking, through the mediums to Allan Kardec, and all the content that he gave, it was really good content. So because when Allan Kardec got all this message, what he did a scientific study and research to make sure that all the three mediums, the three different ways that he's gonna get is the same. So St. Augustine was one of that stays a lot. So you're gonna hear a lot if you read the spiritual book or the gospel. You're gonna see a lot of St. Augustine talking. And one of the things that St. Augustine did to know himself better, to develop his spirituality, is like this. At the end of the day, I would assess my conscience, review everything that I have done, and I would ask myself whether I had failed in some duty, whether some might have reason to complain about me. It was thus that I arrived at knowing myself and in seeing what was in me that needed to be reformed. If you knew all your actions of the day, if you review your actions of the day every evening, asking yourself whether you have done good or bad, and praying for enlightenment from God and your guardian angel, you will acquire great strength for self-improvement. Review what you have done, first against God, second against your neighbor, and lastly against yourself. It is very powerful, and he did that every day. I don't think I can do that every day, but it is good to, when you are aware that you need to review something, you can do it. You can assess yourself, to be honest, but you have to be completely honest with yourself, because we also are very good on the way. Oh yeah, I'll leave for later. I don't know. I don't want to work this now. I think it's okay. And everything. No, we need to be really honest with ourselves. And that's a good thing. It's only with ourselves. No one else can help. Like, you can get therapists that will guide your way, but the work you have to do yourself. The therapist is very good because they have techniques that guide you to go there inside and know yourself better and work things that it's not working well for you, So if you can afford, of course. So St. Augustine did that, and it's really good. There's one thing that, when he said, I'm praying for enlightenment from God, your guardian angel. When you pray for enlightenment, it's a meditation as well. So you walk in your faith, your faith in knowing that there's something else there that I cannot see, I cannot hear, I cannot, I know I'm aware, but I cannot see, feel, or hear. So feel, I mean, in the sense of touch, So when you test that, every time you walk your faith, you are, that's scientifically proven, you are activate your pineal gland, which for science it doesn't have much use unless if it's when you get teenagerhood, when your puberty comes in. But scientifically now they are starting to see that this is a gland that actually is for transcendation of yourself, of your spirituality. And we know this. We have been knowing since Allan Kardec asked those, and the spirit is explained. So now science is starting to see that this pineal gland is a little. So when we walk faith, and that's one of the things, when you pray, when you in act of faith, this gland is actually activated, and physically they couldn't see anything that is happening, but we know that's the spiritual. So walking this gland, we get in contact with, we transcend ourselves, and transcending ourselves is the best way to transform ourselves, to get ourselves, to know ourselves as well. So through meditation, praying, there's many methods. So that's why I came. And the other things that he highlights as well, it's when you review against God, second against your neighbor, and lastly against yourself. So it's just like Jesus said, there's only two rules. You love God from the first as your God and only, and you love your neighbor as yourself. So to love your neighbor as yourself, you have to love you as well. If you don't love you, you're not gonna love your neighbor. So how can we love ourselves? We have to know ourselves, because when we are aware that we have inclinations that sometimes we don't like, we accept that. So we love ourselves the way we are. We don't feel like pressure to behave in something that's more or less, or in the way that society demands. Now we know and we accept ourselves in the way we are. This is another path for self-knowledge. So St. Augustine, he has a lot of say on the Spirit's book, and it's really good if we can also interpret in the way, in proper understand in the way. So I'm getting to the end of our public speech. I hope I could make some sense on this one. And I'd like to leave with this part. I think it's very, there is no death or extinction, but transformation. We can never kill the old self. We can conquer it, renew it, and educate it. This is the path for knowing ourselves. We have to be aware that we have our old self, that it's not as perfect as we would like to, probably. So we cannot kill them. We're not gonna kill, and because it's there. It's gonna be there always, But we can transform. We can conquer it. We can model it. We can renew it in a new self, in something newer. Like just after cocooning, the butterfly lives beautifully transformed. So we can all do this for ourselves, for our own knowledge. And what we get in return, it's peace of mind, our peace, peace with ourselves, because we know how we behave. We know that this is like this. So that's the importance of knowing ourselves. So I hope everyone enjoyed. We remember Tuesdays and Thursday, 7 p.m. We have also studies and special speeches and people from all around the world talking about spiritism. So it's really good if you want to just tune in our. Daisy, hello, Daisy. Herculano Spirits teaches us that the desire to change, improve is already a big step towards our inner change. Exactly. That's one thing. We need the desire, the will to do this. That is thank you, JC, for that. I miss you. Maybe we're going to be back to our normal meeting when all this pass. Oh, Claudia Silva as well. Who gives or teaches moral education to childhood, parents or school? Well, Claudia, it's parents. That's definitely parents. A school is to teach in the intellect, to develop intellectuality, to know things, but spiritual teachings comes from the parents. I know in Ireland, for example, there is the Catholic school, or it doesn't differ much from the other schools that are Catholic. The only thing they have, and it's what we call, they have studies, and then they go to do the christening. No, no, my kids don't go to Catholic school, so I don't know much. But schools, it's only to instruct. So it's a large number of children in the same, which is not going to be from after the quarantine probably, but it's a large number. There is no way you can teach spirituality with so many. We can teach a little bit. So parents are the most. Not only parents, everyone around, takes a community to grow to grow a child. So it's everyone around. It's the parents, it's the neighbors sometimes. It's everyone around that actually takes the spiritual teachings. So it's mostly has to come from the parents. So I hope I have answered the question. And if any more questions. Thank you, Sylvia. It was beautiful speech. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you very much. And it was lovely to have everyone. We're going to do our final prayer now. So I would like everyone to sit comfortably where you are, if you can. Close your eyes. Connect with the upper world. Enlightening. I'd like to thank the good spirits, our mentors, for being here today, for talking to us today. I hope I could be the way for them to speak through. And I'd like to also to thank everyone for being here. I hope everyone had a lovely Sunday and a very nice week ahead. And so be it. So, thank you very much again. Remember, Tuesdays and Thursdays we have our 7 p.m. Dublin time. I have to remember this, Dublin time. And see you next time. Hope all is fine.